The lie that shattered everything. How I lost my husband to a manipulative stranger. My name is Serena, and I'm 28 years old. I need to tell this story. Not for sympathy, not for validation, but because keeping it bottled up is starting to rot me from the inside. Everyone I talk to says the same thing. You overreacted, or you should have trusted him, like I wasn't living the nightmare firsthand. They weren't in my home when it all unraveled. They didn't feel the panic twist in their stomach when those messages came in. They didn't watch their life implode in real time. I was married to Ethan for 6 years. 4 of them as husband and wife. We had 2 daughters, Amelia, who just turned 3, and Isla, still a baby at 1. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. Ethan worked a stable office job, nothing flashy, but it paid the bills. I stayed home with the girls. It made sense financially, though it often meant feeling like I was disappearing behind diapers, sippy cups, and reruns of kids' shows. Ethan had always needed a hobby outside the house. He said it kept him grounded. For him, that was yoga. Every other Saturday morning, he'd head to the gym for a class and come back smelling like eucalyptus and herbal tea, talking about balance and mindfulness. I didn't complain. In fact, I encouraged it. When Ethan was mentally centered, he was a better partner, a better father. He'd come home refreshed, more affectionate, more engaged. Our life had a rhythm. His yoga weekends, lazy Sunday breakfasts, bedtime routines, and the occasional date night when my sister could babysit. It wasn't exciting, but it felt secure. I even posted photos sometimes. Amelia in his arms at the park, all of us baking pancakes together. It looked good and it felt good. I thought our biggest problems were him forgetting the trash or leaving the dishwasher half-loaded. I had no idea that the real threat was already watching us from the outside. 2 months ago, a new woman started attending his yoga class. Her name was Kiara. She was a local fitness influencer. 20,000 followers on Instagram, pretty enough to attract attention, savvy enough to use it. Ethan mentioned her once or twice. How she seemed serious about meditation, how she took a selfie with him for her page. Sounded harmless. I was even proud in a weird way. Someone with a platform was recognizing my husband's skills. I thought it reflected well on him, maybe even on us. But then he came home one Saturday, visibly shaken. He told me the truth. During one of those photos, she'd kissed him on the cheek. Out of nowhere. He said he immediately told her it was inappropriate. I appreciated that he didn't try to hide it from me. But that didn't make it easier to stomach. Who kisses a married man they barely know? Especially in public. If the roles were reversed, if some guy had kissed me during a Pilates class, Ethan would have been livid. But because it was a woman, it was just awkward. I swallowed my jealousy, tried to focus on the fact that Ethan had been honest and firm in his boundaries. I trusted him to handle it. I didn't want to be the crazy wife. But Kiara wasn't just some clueless woman with poor social boundaries. She was a strategist. She saw Ethan as a challenge, and me as a disposable obstacle. Days later, I got a follow request from her on my private Instagram. I declined it instantly, but that was the first sign she wasn't letting go. Shortly after, she changed her profile photo to the picture of her kissing Ethan's cheek. I couldn't believe it. She was trying to stake a public claim, subtly implying they were more than just acquaintances. My blood boiled, so I showed up at Ethan's next yoga class. I waited outside until the session ended. I watched her linger, trying to talk to him. And then I walked up, calm, collected but firm. I told her to stay away from my family. No more photos. No more games. No more pretending. She blinked, smiled tightly, and walked away. The next day, she took down the photo. I thought it was over. Ethan wasn't happy that I'd inserted myself. He said he could handle it. But I knew he was relieved. For a few weeks, everything returned to normal. She stayed out of our orbit. We started sleeping better again. Laughing more. Touching more. But that was just the eye of the storm. The message came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in the kitchen, finally sipping a warm cup of coffee while Amelia played on her tablet and Isla napped. My phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. The message read, "Hi Serena. I didn't know if I should reach out, but I couldn't keep lying anymore. I think you deserve to know the truth about Ethan." 'Twas Kiara. I should have ignored it, blocked the number and moved on. But instead I read everything. She claimed Ethan had been unfaithful, that they'd been talking for weeks, that he said horrible things about me. She sent screenshots, text messages between them, supposedly from his number. They were personal, intimate, devastating. He called me boring, said I was clingy, complained about our sex life, talked about meeting up with her while I was home with the girls, referred to me as dead weight. Felt gutted. I couldn't breathe. These weren't generic messages. These were conversations that included our inside jokes, references to things only he and I shared. How could she know those if he hadn't told her? When Ethan walked in that night, I was a mess. I shoved the phone at him, demanded answers, accused him of everything. He swore up and down he didn't send them, that he never cheated. But I didn't believe him. The evidence felt too real. And I exploded, screaming, crying, telling him he was a coward and a liar. I told him to get out and never come back. He didn't argue. He packed a bag, kissed the girls goodbye while they sobbed, and left. That night I called Kiara. I needed more dates, times, specifics. I was going to burn Ethan to the ground. But when I pushed her, she fumbled. She contradicted herself. And finally she cracked. She admitted everything was fake. She had used an app to fabricate the screenshots. She learned our inside jokes from my social media posts and used them to make it all more convincing. She did it because she was obsessed with Ethan and thought if she broke us up, she'd get her shot with him. I dropped the phone. The horror of what I'd done sank in like acid. I destroyed my marriage, ripped our family apart because of a lie. A lie that I never gave Ethan a real chance to refute. I called him that night, begged him to come home, told him everything. He came the next evening, but not for me. He came for the girls, played with them, helped feed them. But when they were asleep and I tried to talk, he said he needed space, that he was hurt deeply and didn't know if we could come back from this. That was 8 weeks ago. He still shows up every day for the girls. He's calm, gentle, reliable. But with me, it's like there's glass between us. I've apologized 100 times, offered therapy, made his favorite meals, wrote long, tear-streaked letters. Nothing breaks through. He's changing, looking sharper, smiling more, working out again. But he leaves every night without a glance back. And I can see it in his eyes. He's already gone. I killed the trust. I made it too easy for Kiara. All she had to do was plant the seed, and I watered it myself. Now she's off living her next lie, consequence-free, while I'm here, sleeping in our bed alone, hearing my daughter ask, why Daddy doesn't live here anymore, and knowing I lit the match that burned it all down. I lost the man who used to hold me during storms, who whispered that I was still beautiful even when I didn't believe it. I lost him because I believed a stranger over him. And I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself.